Welcome to Once Upon a Castle, unlocking the magic of Disney, past and present. I'm Gini, your guide through the parks and the pages of Disney's rich history. Each week, we will share expert tips to help you plan your perfect visit and explore the stories, secrets, and legends that make the magic real. From Walt's vision to today's hidden gems, we will help you feel more connected, more prepared, and more enchanted every step of the way. So, whether you're counting down the days to your next trip or just dreaming of a stroll down Main Street, USA, this is your place to discover the wonder. This is Once Upon a Castle. Welcome back, my friends, to Once Upon a Castle podcast, the show where we take a stroll down the avenues, attractions, and stories that make Disneyland more than just a park. It's a living, breathing piece of American imagination. You guys, today's episode is a super special one for me because I am taking you along on my very first solo Disneyland trip for my birthday. Yep. Just me, the parks, and a whole lot of magic. Now, I'm going to give you a full trip report, what I did, what surprised me, and what I would do differently. And I'm also sharing how my $1,000 budget challenge actually turned out. Did I pull it off? Did I accidentally blow my budget on snacks and impulse magic? Well, in this episode, you're about to find out. But first, I just wanted to say I am actually recording on Wednesday, February 11th, which is my birthday. Woo! I actually ended up taking the day off just to rest and relax and recharge and literally do nothing. I've watched some Outlander, I've laid around on the couch, I slept in. And now I couldn't think of a better way to spend my birthday than talking with all of my besties about Disneyland. So welcome, everyone. You also might notice a new little something about the podcast. I have a new logo. I'm going to give this one a go. The first one that I had, I wasn't ever really fully sold on. I didn't love it. So today I actually spent some time playing around and made a new one. So tell me what you think. Anyways, normally we jump into our listener reviews, but sadly we do not have any new reviews yet. But I am encouraged that all of you wonderful people are going to flood the review box with all of these great reviews that I can share because I just love connecting with you guys. That's really all it's about. Is I love to hear what you love about the show so I can keep doing it. And I love your recommendations and to hear what it is that you're looking for within the show. So feel free to leave those reviews. Now, last week, I asked you guys what your best niche park tips are. And I even took it to the socials asking what are some of those tips that people could offer up that are super niche that give people the most magical experience of the day at Disneyland. And here's what a few of you said. Colette says that she would find a seat near refreshment corner and chill there and people watch. I couldn't agree more, Colette. That sounds amazing. She also says that the Tiki Room restrooms are nice, so I'm guessing go check those out. And she said that if you time it correctly, when you're on Small World, you can get stuck on the boat at the exit to watch the fireworks. And I'm wondering how recently she has done that. And I don't know, now they do the firework projections on Small World. So I've not paid attention if they stop the ride itself while that's going on. I was literally just back there and that's not something I was paying attention to. But I will say one thing that happened to us when we were there, not this December, but last December, or not December, November, because it was Thanksgiving. We were there on Thanksgiving. Anyways, we were in line at night for Small World. And oh my gosh, if you've never been to Small World at night, period, you're missing out. But if you've never been to Small World at night during Christmas with all of the amazing, gorgeous lights, what are you doing with your life? Okay, get back there. So we were in line waiting, and at that very time, the Christmas Fantasy Parade was coming to a close. So they actually exit through those cast doors, the backlot doors there by Small World. So we got to stand there in line, just engulfed in true Christmas magic while the parade was going by. It's one of my core memories. So thanks for sharing that tip, Colette. And if anybody knows if they still run Small World during the fireworks, shout it out, put it in the reviews, put it on my socials, or just email or me or something like that so I can share that out with you guys, because that would be pretty stinking amazing to be stuck on Small World while the projections are going and the fireworks are going. Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you, Colette, for sharing. Mommy2MG said, ride all the rides in one land before going to another. And I personally really like that idea. I've done that a lot, and that's one of the things I recommend. I like to experience each land at a time as well. So that's what has worked really well for them. Maybe you might give it a go. Sarah said, Sarah, you're killing me. She says, don't go with in-laws. Savage, diabolical, Sarah. I mean, I've not gone with my in-laws, but I think if my husband went with my parents, which would be his in-laws, he would have a great time. But I don't know. I guess it depends on your in-laws. But Sarah, that's a good one. So, keep that in mind, my friends. Magic in the Mountains said that she does not go without KT tape for her feet, and her son actually uses it on his shins too. I'm curious about how to put this on your feet. She said that you could look it up pretty easily on YouTube, but apparently it saves your feet. And after literally tens of thousands of steps during those days, I can totally see how that would be amazing. And you could just keep going and going and going, guys. If you did that, imagine how many hours or how many days you could spend in the parks. Maybe it's unlimited. You just would not stop. So go get yourself some KT tape for your feet and your shins. Now, From Out of the Past podcast said, you can read the lines. This can be even better than the posted wait times. Look at the relationship of standby to lightning lane. And they recommend that you go check out Fresh Baked for a more detailed breakdown about how this could work. Sometimes those posted wait times can be super misleading. I actually experienced that many times on this trip, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But those posted wait times are not always correct. That's a really great tip, Michael, and being able to judge the standby lanes versus the lightning lane might give you a little bit more of a hint around what the actual wait time is going to be. So go check out Fresh Baked and see if you can learn more about that. Liana's Little Life said, go alone. That's all she said. Go alone. And I love it. I totally agree after today. And I totally agree. After this last trip, I would highly recommend going alone. Thank you all so much for providing your feedback. These were such great tips, and I think our listeners will really appreciate some of these things if they've not already tried it. All right, well, buckle up and pull hard on that yellow tab because I'm going full play-by-play today. We're starting with a moment-by-moment breakdown of the day, and then after that, we're going to get to the part where I show you the receipts. I'll share the budget breakdown, what was worth it, what wasn't, and whether I stayed under $1,000. So let's start off with Friday. Friday was the day that I flew out. I actually flew out after work. My flight left about 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and I took a flight. I had to do a little layover in Phoenix, quite literally a teeny tiny baby layover. I was so happy that my gates were right by each other because I walked off one plane and walked down 4 gates and literally walked right onto the next one. My boarding group was boarding group 9 and they were calling boarding group 8. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I made it. So tiny stop in Phoenix and then off I went. So I arrived in Anaheim. Not Anaheim. I flew into Santa Ana there at John Wayne, grabbed me an Uber, and I landed about 10 o'clock. So by the time I got my Uber and I got to the hotel, it was about 10:30. And my Uber driver was great. He was lovely. It was really funny because I could tell he didn't speak any English, but he was still friendly. And when I got to the hotel, he's like helping me with my bags. And I told him like gracias, and he looked at me and his eyes got so big, like he was shocked. And he looks at me and he asks me in Spanish if I speak Spanish. Like, wait, oh my gosh, you speak Spanish this entire time? Like, we could have been talking and what? You speak Spanish? And I looked at him, I was like, no, 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 like un poquito, like so little. I don't speak Spanish, but I can say gracias. And so we laughed about that when I was like, no, 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 no. We had a lovely little chuckle. I kind of broke his heart there because he was so excited for a minute. But anyways, he dropped me off at my hotel. I ended up staying at Hotel Lulu. So this is a new to me hotel. I've never stayed here before. It is right almost on the corner of South Harbor and Catella. So right on the corner of South Harbor and Catella is like a CVS and a Walgreens. It's on the CVS side. And I think it's just like one door down from the CVS. So it's super close to the parks. It's about a 12 to 15-minute walk, depending on how quickly you walk. Now, the next morning when I walked to Disneyland, it was a faster walk than when I was coming back. It was moving a lot slower. Hotel Lulu, I would stay there again. It's not anything overly fancy. It's not, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. The front desk staff were super friendly. The room was clean enough. When I go to the parks, I just really kind of focus on my hotel. Is it close, walkable distance, no more than 15 minutes? And even 15 is kind of pushing it, but that's okay. And is it clean? Like, it's got to be clean. I don't need all the fancy schmancy stuff that might go in a hotel because I'm just not going to be in my room. Now, I will say in October, when I went with my friend Kristen, we did stay at the Disneyland Hotel, and that was both of our first experience. I have no idea if or when I will ever stay there again. It was so lovely. We absolutely loved it. It kind of ruined me, but your girl just does not have the money to be staying at the Disneyland Hotel all the time. Okay, so there you go. So Hotel Lulu it was. And I ended up picking that one because I booked through booking.com and I was able to get a package deal, which gave me a bigger discount on my flights and my hotel. And Hotel Lulu was honestly the cheapest one that wasn't like a total skeezy dive place, okay? Just being honest with you guys. So I totally would stay at Hotel Lulu again. And if you've never stayed there, then maybe go check it out. So got into my hotel. Really, I just kind of unpacked my stuff. I didn't have a lot to unpack. I ended up just going with a backpack. And I have never done such a thing. I don't even think if I've taken like a weekend trip to Denver or something, or, away just for the weekend with my husband, that I've ever done such a thing. But I flew American Airlines out there, which you could do a personal item and a carry-on. That would have been no problem. No problem. However, on the way back, I flew Breeze Airways. Okay, which that was fine. I had the choice. I could have flown American back. However, it would have given me a layover and it wouldn't have gotten me home till about 10:30 at night. Whereas if I took Breeze Airways, it was a direct flight. It was only about an hour and 24-minute flight, and it got me home at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on a Sunday when I had to work the next Monday. I took that one. So with that being said, Breeze Airways, they really only let you take on a personal item. You have to pay for your carry-on. And it's at least the lowest price was $35. And if I had waited until I got to the airport the morning that I flew back, it would have been $75 for a carry-on. That's bananas. So I was bound and determined to make this backpack work because y'all know I was doing this on a budget and I was not going to waste $35 of my $1,000 on a carry-on fee. Wasn't going to do it. So I had my little backpack. I had a tiny little belt bag. So anyways, I got to my hotel And I got my little backpack all unpacked. I got my outfit for the next day laid out. I got all my, toiletries out so that I could just be totally ready to go the next morning. Got in my jammies and I ended up doing like a little face mask and just kind of settling in and relaxing for the evening. And I crashed out probably a little bit after midnight. So, did my little snooze fest and I woke up the next morning and was bound and ready. I was going to Disneyland. This would have been Saturday morning. I was going to go to Disneyland for my first solo trip, and I just could not wait. I was so excited. I got up maybe about 6 a.m. and started to get myself ready because there's one thing about me as a Disney girl. I am always going to rope drop. Always. I don't care if I stayed out until 4 a.m. the night before. I am rope dropping, okay? So I got myself up and ready and going. I did another little sheet mask. I did some of those little eye masks, because your girl was tired. Okay, I was real tired. So then I went ahead and headed over to Disneyland. Now, I was packed and ready to go. I had a cute little belt bag that my husband got me for Valentine's Day, but he gave it to me early for my trip. In that, I had my phone, and on my phone, I had downloaded all of my favorite weekly podcasts, Disney ones, of course, and I actually hadn't listened to any of my Disney podcasts the week leading up to my trip, so that I had plenty to listen to during my day at the park. I also had an audiobook downloaded, so I was able to have that ready to listen to. The audiobook that I had downloaded was Dream Chasing, and that is written by Bob Weiss. About halfway through that one. And then I also brought a physical book with me. The physical book that I brought is called Groundbreaking Magic, A Black Woman's Journey Through the Happiest Place on Earth, and it's by Martha Blanding with Tim O'Day. And this book is part of my DL Weekly book club, so I thought, you know what? I need to bring some of this magic with me, and I'm going to bring this book and read it while I have time in the parks. So I was prepped and ready to go. I had plenty of things for me to enjoy on my wonderful day. So I walked over to the park, and guys, sadly, I guess I was just moving a little bit slower than I anticipated because I did not make it to rope drop exactly. I'm so sad because I absolutely love rope drop. The vibe, the energy, the music, it is just such a fun, refreshing day. So I didn't get through the gate until about 8:10, which is still fine. It's early enough. It's great. It's fine. But I just missed like the little pre-party, right? So I went through the gates and entered in on Main Street. Of course, I walked by the firehouse and said good morning to Uncle Walt. And then I actually popped into the Emporium. I hadn't planned to do that early in the morning. But here's where I was at. I had a jacket with me. And I told you, all I brought was a little belt bag. So I didn't have my normal lounge fly with me that might carry really all the stuff that I was needing it to carry. But gosh, that belt bag was so cute. So it was totally worth it. But I had a jacket and it was a bit warmer than I had anticipated. So I really wasn't wearing the jacket yet. And I had my book and I had my ears. So I put on a pair of ears that I've had for a long time. And these ears were so cute with my outfit, but I know better. They hurt my head so much. I literally wore them for like 3 minutes on the walk over and was just immediately no, there will be no ears today. So I was carrying those around too. So I'm like, I know that there is a Spirit jersey that I had my eye on. And I'll talk about that more when I'm breaking down the budget. But I'm like, I need to get that Spirit jersey and I might as well just go get it now and I can get a little shopping bag so I can just throw my coat and my book and my ears in until I'm ready to get a locker because I wasn't quite ready to get a locker yet. So I did that and I bought my Spirit jersey and said good morning to the lovely cast members. They were so cute and sweet. And then I just kind of bopped slowly down Main Street. And I swung by the castle real fast. I said good morning, told her she was pretty, took a couple little pictures, and then I went over to the Jolly Holiday and I grabbed a latte. So I had my coffee, I had my book, and I was ready to rock and roll. So I decided I would take the way through Adventureland because if you remember in my last episode, Lynn Barron kind of double dog dared me. Okay, he didn't really double dog dare me, but he did say he would find it pretty hilarious if I ran through Adventureland, kind of zigzagging my way through. So let me tell you guys. I did that. Okay. Adventureland was so empty as it is first thing in the morning after the crowd who is moving other places rushes through. There was maybe like 5 people in all at Adventureland. So I was a little nervous because it just felt so silly. And I'm like, people are going to think I'm crazy, but I am a little crazy. So let's go. And I just kind of like frolicked. I think that's the best way to explain it. I just frolicked through Adventureland and twirled and leapt and just took up all the space. And it was lovely. And the best part was as I was exiting Adventureland, as it was like heading to the Rivers of America area, the bootstrappers were right there playing already in the morning. So I stood there for a couple minutes and jammed out with them. That was awesome. It was just such a great way to start the day. Then I just kind of swung over right by the entrance of the Mark Twain riverboat. Honestly, I can't remember the name of that food shop right there. It's like the little food stand. Sail something. Anyways, it's right by where you would get on the Mark Twain and the sailing ship Columbia. And I got a breakfast chimichanga. Oh, I've never had it before, but I've heard it's so, so good. And this trip was all about, one, doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted to do it, however I wanted to do it. I had 0 plans. Lived moment by moment. The other thing was I wanted to try some new things that I had never done before, and this included food and attractions. So I wanted to see how many of the things I've never done before I could check off. That chimichanga was one of them. That dining location really was one of them. So then I had my chimichanga, and yes, I got the green sauce that goes with it, like the green salsa. Spicy for me. I can't take a lot of heat, but oh my gosh, you guys, it's so good. So I had my chimichanga, I had my coffee, and I went ahead and I walked on over back to Harbor Galley, and they have the tables right there that sit at the edge of the Rivers of America, and there was nobody around, not a soul, just some duckies, and I sat there and I drank my coffee, and I ate my chimichanga, and I read my book, and I listened to the beautiful music, the jazz music coming out from New Orleans Square, and I listened to the Mark Twain riverboat sailing by, and it was absolute perfection. It really was. I also spent that time, I made a little content, I posted on the socials, I chatted with my cousin for a bit, and I think I spent probably about 2 hours there. I'm not even kidding you. The weather was fantastic. Watching people walk by and they were just so excited for their day and like, doing some people watching and just everybody was happy and excited. 10 out of 10 would recommend a nice, slow leisure morning like that. It was everything I had hoped and dreamed it was. So then honestly, my butt started to fall asleep, so it was time to get up and start moving. And I was already right there, so of course I had to start the day with my favorite ride, and I hopped on the Haunted Mansion. And it was a walk-on. It said something like 20 minutes. No, not even. That line, I kept moving. I did have my book out and read a little bit as I was walking through, but I really didn't get that far in reading because the line just went so fast. But let me ask you this, guys. Okay, I I haven't been on the Haunted Mansion. Okay, the last time I was on it was in October, and it was Haunted Mansion Holiday. And the time before that, I was there for the 70th, and it was regular Haunted Mansion. Have they done something since they took down Haunted Mansion Holiday and put it back to regular? Have they done something with the lighting after the stretching room? I swear it is like so much darker. I know it's normally dark, but this was like so dark. The doors opened and I went to step out into the hallway and I could not see. And my eyes were struggling so bad to adjust. I had to kind of move off to the side so that I wouldn't run into anybody. And I stood there for a minute while my eyes started to acclimate. And even still, after that, I just struggled that entire time down that hallway trying to get through and not slam into somebody. It was so dark. So who else feels like it got so much darker? Or do you know for a fact that they turned the lights down because it was so dark? Then I got to the area where it's the January, December portrait right before you get on the ride. And I've looked at that area so many times, so many times. And I love that portrait. Okay, are those candelabras new? Or are there just more, or are they brighter? Because I don't know what it is, but the candelabras grabbed my attention so much. And it like shocked me kind of. I kind of felt like, wait, what are these? What's happening? What's going on? So have they just always been there and I've just been focused on other things, or I'm talking with people and so I'm not noticing? Is this kind of what having a solo day is like? Is you just get to see more of the details because you're not distracted by the people that you're with? Or are these things new? Okay, somebody please tell me, catch me up. Anyways, I went ahead and of course rode the Haunted Mansion and it was lovely as it always is. Once I got off, I stopped into the new Madame Leota shop and I've been in there a few times already, but it wasn't really that busy. And I thought, you know what? I have time and there's nobody else with me that I'm going to bother if I just linger. And I just lingered in that shop and I looked at all of the decor, everything that was above on like the top shelving area. I just looked at everything and that place is so cool and immersive. I know some people have some problems with it. That's fine. You can have your problems, but I think it is so beautifully themed. There is so much detail in there and it is just such a fun place to look at and observe. So I had fun doing that. After that, I decided I would continue on in my little journey of New Orleans Square, and I was going to do a little shopping. I wanted to go to Pandora and see what they had. So I am a sucker for a good Pandora charm, and I have a bracelet going. I'm almost at the point where I need a new one. And I like to get a new charm every time I go to just kind of symbolize as a little momentum of the trip that I had. So I stopped in there and waited for a little bit. There was a little bit of a line, but that's okay. I met someone in line and we chatted and just enjoyed the ambiance. And then I got in there and I got a new charm. I got the cute little heart-shaped one. It's a silver heart shape. And then on the front is the traditional Mickey Mouse ears. With a little heart in the middle. And then on the back is the silhouette of the castle with some hearts. And on the sides of the charm are little Mickey cutouts, little Mickey head cutouts. It is so pretty. I am obsessed. So I got it on my bracelet, and I was just feeling so bougie and pretty. So I figured I'd go say hello to my pirate friends, and hope that they didn't try to steal my new little treasure. So I went ahead, I hopped in line at Pirates. I had my book with me and I just enjoyed working through the line and reading. And again, this was one of those, the wait time was posted. It was maybe like 30 minutes, it said. And it was definitely not maybe between 15 to 20 minutes. So the wait on that one was not terrible at all. So I got in line, read my book, got on the ride. I had a whole row to myself, and I was kind of like in the middle of the boat. And of course, I was sitting in the middle of the row. And y'all, I felt like I was on Splash Mountain. Okay. We got so wet. I feel so bad for the people in the first couple of rows. They got absolutely soaked on the first water drop. I got a little bit wet and it like splashed in my face and whatnot, which I was not expecting at all, especially where I was sitting. So beware. You might get a little bit more wet nowadays on Pirates. I don't know what they did, but it was crazy. And like I said, I feel so bad for the people in the first couple of rows. They got soaked. And I remember when we went this summer, we rode in the very first row and we also got soaked. So if you don't want to get wet at all, do not sit in the first couple of rows. Okay. But it was so fun. Love Pirates. It's a classic and a goodie. Then I decided I would do something I hadn't ever done before. So I walked over and I was going to ride the sailing ship Columbia. I got there as they were loading and they had already like maxed out their capacity. So they kind of told everybody, the next ship coming is the Mark Twain. That should be here at about 5 minutes. And then the sailing ship Columbia will come back around in about 15 minutes. And I thought, 15 minutes, that's totally fine. I've got nothing else to do. Like I have all day. And I've never done this ride, so I wanted to check it out. So I really just sat there under the little awning, and while I waited, and I read my book, guys, and it was lovely. And then I went and I got on the sailing ship Columbia, and it was beautiful and sunny and warm, and I checked that out. And I'm really happy that I was kind of watching some other ladies because I saw them coming up some stairs from underneath the deck. And I did not know that there was stuff under the deck. So I went down there and I checked that out. It is just a really cool little attraction. It's not anything fancy or thrilly or anything like that, but it was super fun. It's cool. Go check it out. I'm glad I did. So after that, I felt like I maybe needed a little drink or a little shot of caffeine. So by this time it was about noon and I wasn't quite hungry yet, but I did want something to drink. So I actually walked over to, let me back up a bit. I was looking at the times and I knew that the Royal Theater was going to be putting on the Rapunzel show at 12:40. And at that time, by the time I got off the ship, it was about 12:20. So I knew, okay, I got 20 minutes and what might I do? I really kind of don't want to go stand in line to go watch the show, but I really want to watch the show. So since it's just me, now, if you have a bigger family or you have kids, I definitely would recommend waiting in line because you want to get a good spot for your kids, like up front on the floor and just make sure that everybody has a seat. But I knew since it was just me, I could either easily find a little spot to sit or I would be fine with just standing in the back and watching. But I love those shows. If you've not ever watched a show at the Royal Theater, you guys, you have to go do it. They are so cheesy and goofy, vaudeville style. So what I decided to do while I waited, I popped on over to Refreshment Corner and I just got a Dr. Pepper. Needed a little caffeine pick-me-up. So I took my Dr. Pepper, and by the time I got back to the Royal Theater, they were seating people, and I was able to grab a seat. There were actually plenty of seats still available. Grab a seat right in the shade and enjoyed that show. It was so fun and cute, and it was good to kind of get off my feet for a little bit and sit in the shade and relax because it was starting to get a titch warm. Looked at my clock again and realized my favorite guys are about to start and I need to go see me some Dapper Dans. So I went ahead and I headed back down Main Street and I decided I would walk through the Emporium side and the shops just to kind of cool off. It was getting a little toasty, nothing too bad, but to cool off and just kind of check out the merch. I had my eyes on getting a new pair of sunglasses. and I knew that they had them in the Emporium. So I thought, let me just go ahead, walk this way, stop at the Emporium, grab my Sunnies, and then pop on out and see the Dans, because the Dans perform right in front of the fire department. And I did. And they are so wonderful. I just love listening to the Dans. They're so talented. It's so fun. It's so positive and upbeat, and they're so silly. And then I was really excited because I've never actually met them or have been able to get a picture with them before. But they said, after their performance, if anybody wants to come up and say hey and get a picture. And I was like, get out of my way, elbowing Granny out of the way, shoving little Susie. No, just kidding. I definitely didn't do that. I would never do that. But I did wait my turn politely in line, and I got to meet them and get a picture with them. And it was just really cool and exciting. I did decide after that, I said, hey, I'm already right here. Let me pop over and see Uncle Walt. And I wanted to go watch the Walt show. It's a magical life, the Walt Disney. I don't remember exactly what it's called, guys, but it's there at the Opera House. And so I wanted to go see that. But when I got over there and I asked when the next time was and I saw the sign, they weren't playing it. They were having some technical difficulties. So they were playing the Lincoln show, which that show is fine. But I've seen it enough times, and I don't know. I kind of went into the Opera House and was looking at all of the 70th, the gallery stuff there in the waiting area. And for a bit, I was thinking I was going to watch it. And then I thought, I don't really feel like watching it. So I didn't. And I left, and it was perfect timing because they had just announced that the Celebrate Happy Cavalcade was about to start. And I thought, oh my gosh, say less. So I found a little bench right there by the train depot, and I just sat and hung out for a little bit and waited and read my book about 15 minutes before the cavalcade actually got to where I was, and watched that and enjoyed it. And then decided, okay, now where am I off to? So I started to walk down Main Street and started to feel a little bit hungry. It was about 2:15 at this point, 2 o'clock, about 2 o'clock. And I was feeling a little bit hungry. And really, I had kind of been thinking all day that I wanted to get a Ronto wrap for lunch. But I'll be honest, I really did not feel like walking over to Galaxy's Edge at that point. I just wasn't into it. I wanted to do some other things around kind of the hub area. So I said, you know what? Never mind. I'm right here by Plaza Inn. I've actually never tried the Plaza Inn chicken dinner. Everybody raves about it. So let me go in there and check that out. And so I did that. Got my chicken dinner, grabbed a spot inside. I was so lucky to grab a spot. It was very crowded, and I wanted to be inside in the air conditioning. And I ate and I read my book, and I really oh no, you know what? I did not read my book. I listened because I remember, why would I read my book while I was eating fried chicken? That would be silly. I didn't do that. I listened to the latest re-release of The Sweep Spot. And it was an interview that they had done with Bob Gurr. So I sat there and I ate and I listened to that episode. And that episode was a little over 30 minutes. So I really just took my time and enjoyed my lunch. I'll talk about this a little bit more in my budget breakdown, but I shouldn't have done the Plaza Inn meal. There, I said it. It was a lot of food. And as they're handing me this plate of food, I'm just like, I was half tempted to just hand it back and be like, no, just kidding. I don't want it. Like, I knew it was going to be expensive, and it was so much food. It was like 3 huge pieces of fried chicken, mashed potatoes, a big biscuit, and a heaping spoonful of green beans. Now, it was all very tasty. The chicken was really moist and juicy. I definitely prioritized the protein, and I still didn't even eat all the chicken. It just felt like it was way too much food. I didn't even come close to finishing all of it. So I felt like I had wasted the food and wasted the money. It was $23, that's pricey when you're not going to eat all of it. So, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the budget, but I kind of wish I would have just held out a little bit or gotten maybe a tiny little snack and then went and got a Ronto wrap later. I really wish I would have just done that, but that's okay. That's probably like the only thing of my trip that I'm like kicking myself on. So I'm doing pretty good if that's my only problem. But I did eat that. Then I went over to the hub area, the photo pass. There was no line. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get some photo pass pictures. Why not? It kind of felt silly just being me, but what the heck? I'm going to try it and we're just going to do it. And why not? I also at this time started my scavenger hunt. So my friend Marie gave me a Where in the Parks scavenger hunt pack. She had me for the DL Weekly Ornament Exchange, and she sent me one of those. And so I started to do that, and that took me all over the park, but I wanted to commit some time to, look, this is just what I'm going to do right now. So I started to do that, and I got some of the things down Main Street and near the castle. So I was on the hunt for a couple items near the castle, which led me I took a couple pictures by the castle, and then I'm like, well, I'm right here. So I stopped on in. I did Snow White. I did that attraction. That was super fun. I thought about doing a couple more Fantasyland rides, but honestly, the line in Snow White, like the queue, it just got really hot. Like this was probably the hottest part of the day. It was about 3:30 at this time. So it was just getting a little toasty. And it just felt very stifling. And I thought about doing Pinocchio and Mr. Toad, maybe Peter Pan, but probably not. I'm not waiting 45 minutes for Peter Pan. But I decided against it. I was like, I do not feel like getting hot and sweaty and just feeling like garbage. So I went on over to Casey Jr. Circus Train because I thought, well, I am going to do Casey Jr. this trip. I love that silly little train so much. It is so freaking cute. The views are so great. Like you just get that elevated look of Fantasyland. You get to look down on the Storybook Canal boats and see that from a different view. And it's just, you get off your feet. I just love it, guys. If you're not doing the Casey Jr. Circus Train, you're like, what are you sleeping on? Wake up, get on there, go do it. I had posted something on my socials about it, and someone commented that they got proposed to on the Casey Jr. Circus Train. And I thought that is so cool and cute and just how sweet. So I did that. Then I decided I had more of my scavenger hunt, and I knew my next clue was going to lead me to Toontown. So I had an idea of where my clue was at. I thought maybe it was at Minnie's house. So I just kind of very leisurely walked over to Toontown. Like everywhere I walked, you guys, was leisure. I was in no rush to do nothing. Nothing. Leisure, moseying the whole time. So I found my clue. I was right, although I was surprised exactly where it was. That kind of shocked me. But I found my clue, and then I thought maybe I would ride Minnie and Mickey's Runaway Railway, and it was a 55-minute wait. And I just wasn't feeling that. I didn't have my book with me at that time. I forgot to tell you guys when I was down on Main Street after I stopped by the Opera House. I went ahead and put all my stuff in a locker. So I didn't have my book, and I was like, don't really want to wait in line for 55 minutes and not have something to read. I could have listened to stuff. I know that. And the queue itself is fantastic, but I just wasn't feeling it. Okay. So then I moved on. And as I was walking by the fountain there in Toontown, I saw the cutest family. I don't quite know exactly what their mix-up was. It was like adult women, like 3 adult women and then an adult man. And he was taking their pictures, and he was slaying their pictures. He was doing, like, he's been camera trained, okay? And he was doing such a good job. And so I just offered, I was like, would you guys like me to take all of your picture together? And the women were, of course, all for it. And he was like, oh, man, I thought I was going to get out of it. I was like, nope, you're not getting out of it. Get on up there. Come on, buddy. So I took their picture and then they offered to take mine. So I got some cute photos in front of the fountain there in Two Town. And the woman that took my picture, she saw my Pandora bracelet and she is a huge Pandora fan. She had a bunch of bracelets. So we sat and talked for like 10 minutes about Pandora bracelets. It was lovely. She was adorable. I wish I would have gotten her name, but whoever you are, I hope you had a great trip. And it's just so fun to chat with people. So I figured, hey, I'm kind of back here in Toontown and I'm jonesing for a black calf cold brew. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is not that far from here. Let me mosey on over there. So I went ahead and went on over to Galaxy's Edge. Now, Rise of the Resistance is down, so I didn't ride that. But I did take my time. I went up to Docking Bay 7 and I got 2 cold brews. This is my life hack, okay? If you want to be out of your mind caffeinated, and they're just so good. I can't get enough. So I bought 2 and I took both of them and I went and I sat down in Docking Bay 7 for a little bit, cooled off, rested my feet, posted some things on the socials and drank one of my coffees. Then I combined the cereal with the second coffee and said, off I go. So you sit and you relax and you drink one, and then because you bought 2, you have another one to take with you as you walk in Rome. Stick with me for more life hacks, guys. So anyways, I had that and I decided I would just kind of mosey on through Galaxy's Edge. And I actually ended up running into Ahsoka. So she is my husband's favorite Star Wars character. So I stopped and I chatted with her and she was lovely and super friendly. And I got a picture with her and then sent it to my husband. And so timestamps, that was just right about 5 p.m. And then I decided I wanted to go back over to Adventureland. I had walked through Adventureland that morning, but I really hadn't done anything in Adventureland. And especially given the fact that we had just wrapped up our Adventureland series, there was so much that I wanted to see and do. And I felt like I just had to go say hello to my old friend. So I went and got in line for the Jungle Cruise. And then unfortunately, it went down. And it was one of those, do we wait in line and see how it goes or do I jump out? Well, my friend Erin, who I had actually I'd never met in person. We've talked, we're friends on Discord and DL Weekly and the Hub Crawl and the Spokes, all those Discords. And I knew we were both going to be in the parks and we wanted to meet up. So she, while I was in line for Jungle Cruise, had texted me saying that she was at the parks now. So I thought, I'm not going to wait. Who knows how long this could be. I'm going to go meet up with Erin. So we arranged to meet at the Tiki Room because I thought, well, after the Jungle Cruise, I'm going to go to the Tiki Room. So she met me over by the Tiki Room and it was so great meeting her. She was waiting and we saw each other and I just like ran up to her and I'm like, are you a hugger? And she said, yeah. So we gave each other a big hug and we stood there at the little bridge walkway-ish area going into Adventureland right across from the Tiki Room. We just chatted for a while, and it was so great to get to know her. And then we decided, let's go do the Tiki Room together. So we went and did the Tiki Room, and then we did Jungle Cruise. And then we decided at one point we thought, hey, let's go ride Big Thunder because I had kind of been saving Big Thunder to ride at night. And we walked over there and it was like 45 minutes and we just weren't feeling it. We were like, nah, let's go do something else. We don't feel like standing in line for 45 minutes. There's other stuff we can go do. So we went over to Small World and we rode Small World together. So it was nighttime. It was about 6:30 at that point. Of course, my favorite time to ride Small World. I always wait until night to go ride Small World. So we did that. And we just had so much fun. It was great. And then we walked kind of up to Main Street. We were just kind of meandering, guys. We had no plan. And so at that point, she decided it was almost 8 o'clock. And Paint the Night started at 8:30. She had a really early morning. She was going to rope drop the next day. She had just driven down from where she lives, like almost a 5-hour drive. She was tired. She needed to go get some rest because she had a big day ahead of her tomorrow. So she went ahead and left and went back to her hotel. And I was going to go to Carnation Cafe because I thought, ooh, I can go and sit on Main Street there at Carnation Cafe out on the patio and get myself a little glassy of wine and watch the show. But sadly, they had no space available, so they sent me on my way. They said, shoo, get on out of here. Go on, get. No, actually, they didn't. They were very kind. But at that point, I knew that the parade was going to start here soon, but I didn't want to wander off. So I actually found the little stoop there on Main Street, the one that has the rocking chair on it. If you are familiar with Frank the Porch Potato, it's Frank's porch, and I was so sad that he was not there and that he was not there that morning. I always loved stopping by and saying good morning to Frank. Anyways, so I sat there on the stoop and I read for a while I waited for the parade, and I enjoyed the parade, and I just love that parade. It is so fun. It's just a good time, guys. Shortly after the parade is when the fireworks take place. So they're about that 9:30 time. So I thought, let me go find a little spot for the fireworks. And I actually had a really good spot there on Main Street, but a clear view of the castle. And because I was by myself, I felt, I could take some liberties here. And I was really curious what it was looking like back at Small World. Like, how crowded was it? What were the projections looking like? So I just made kind of a split decision, and I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta leave. So I left my fireworks spot, like I said, about halfway through the show. And this was the only time I walked with purpose that day. I walked on back to Small World, and it was not crowded at all. Pro tip, go watch the fireworks at Small World. And I've done that in the past. However, in the past, when I did it, they did not have Fantasmic back. So there were no Fantasmic fireworks. But now, because of the way that Fantasmic is positioned on the rivers of America, it kind of is at behind Small World-ish in that way. So I got to enjoy the projections on Small World, which in my opinion are superior. It's just the projections lay better on Small World. They just do. And I got the fireworks from Fantasmic. So I kind of wish I wouldn't have even bothered with the fireworks at the castle. I kind of wish that after the parade, I would have just walked over and done the whole show from Small World. Now I know for next time, right? Now I know. But it was enjoyable. I got to see like the last part of the show, and so that was a good time. I enjoyed that. So after that, I was already pretty close. I mean, I was right there at Small World, which the train is super close. So I kind of thought to myself, you know what? I haven't done the train yet today. And listen, I'm not a huge fan of the train. I really don't find it all that exciting. Okay? I just don't. Come at me if you must, but that's just my opinion. However, my little tootsies were tired, and I still wanted to watch Fantasmic. So I thought, you know what? Let me just pop on the train, and I can ride it around the park, and I will get off at New Orleans Square. So I did that. So yeah, I did that. I hopped on the train and I rode it over to New Orleans Square, and I got there quite a bit, not quite a bit early, but maybe about 15 minutes before Fantasmic was set to start. So I found a little spot to sit, and I sat, and I just enjoyed the ambiance. I posted on the socials. I listened to some podcasts. And then I went ahead, and as soon as the show was about to start, it wasn't really crowded because this was the second showing. So this was about 10:30. So it was not crowded at all. It was so easy to find a spot. I got up and found a little spot to go watch the show and started to watch Fantasmic and was enjoying that. And then after Fantasmic, I was a little hungry. Now, mind you, I hadn't really eaten since I was at Plaza Inn. I had gotten the cold brews, but I hadn't really gotten any food. And I really debated going back to Galaxy's Edge and getting my Ronto wrap. But it was cold. It was getting cold. I was getting tired. And I just thought, not this time. I just did not feel like walking back there. I did, after Fantasmic, walk over to Big Thunder. No, I didn't. That's not true. Guys, I'm trying to remember the day before it all slips away. I was going to walk over to Big Thunder. Like, I was headed that way, and I was just really cold. I had a long sleeve shirt, I had a coat, a little jacket, and I was just already so cold. And the thought of the wind whipping in my face when I was already getting really cold did not sound enjoyable. So I pivoted, and that's when I decided I needed a little food. This is right. Now I'm remembering. It's all coming back to me now. So at that point, I didn't want to walk back through New Orleans Square and go back to Galaxy's Edge or however else you want to get there. Anyways, but I did want a little something to eat. I felt like I needed just a little something. I thought about stopping at Bengal Barbecue, and I walked over there, and there was quite the line at, 10, almost 11. It was almost 11 o'clock, guys. And there was seriously a really decent line. So I'm like, I'm not doing that. So let me look on the mobile order. I hadn't mobile ordered all day. I hadn't needed to because I never knew where I was going to be from moment to moment. So I wasn't going to put myself in a position where I had to leave something and like go across the park or do something to just go get a mobile order. Wasn't part of my vibe for that day. And the mobile order time was about 15 minutes wait time. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to wait just right. Like that would be the same as standing in line because I'm already right here. So I thought, I haven't had a bao from Tropical Hideaway in a while. So let me go over there. So I went over and I got the lime chicken bao from Tropical Hideaway. It was pretty good. I wish it had more filling. It was really doughy. I just wish it had a bit more filling so I could have gotten some more protein. But the flavors were really good. And I also got a little pineapple juice. I didn't get a Dole Whip or a Dole Whip float. Again, I was so cold. And just the thought of like an ice cream type thing did not sound good. But the pineapple juice sounded really tasty. So I went ahead and I got a good old cup of pineapple juice. So at that point, like I said, it was a little after 11 p.m. and I was getting cold. I was getting tired. I had thought I had the best of intentions to stay till park closed, but I was tired. I was cold. My feet were really hurting. And at that point, you don't want to just make yourself miserable just for the sake of staying the whole time. But I did think I'm going to go over and say my ritual goodbye to the castle. And there was the photo pass there. And I thought, I think I'm going to go do a little photo pass. And so I went ahead and took some pictures there by the castle. It was all lit up at night. It's so beautiful at that time. So I got some photos and that was really fun. The cast members were super sweet and they were so fun. They're like, oh my gosh, you're on your first solo trip, and just chatted with them. And it was a fun experience. And then after that, I stood at the castle for a couple minutes and just gave my prayers of gratitude. So at the end of every night before I leave, I always have to stop at the castle and just give my gratitude and give prayers of thanks and just reflect on the day. And I'm just so grateful that I am in a position where I can have the finances to be able to do stuff like this. I'm truly, truly blessed with what God has given me, and I've tried hard to be a good steward of that. And so to have opportunities to do what just simply makes my soul happy, I feel so blessed and honored to be able to do that. And giving prayers of gratitude for my friends and my family, my husband, him being willing and enthusiastic and super supportive of me taking this trip. He was checking in on me all day, making sure I was having a great time, and just shared with me how excited he was. And so I was just so grateful for that. That's a lot of money to spend, and to be able to go and like do that by myself. I'm grateful that he's the type of person that is like, yep, you go do you, boo boo. Like he gets it, and he allows me to be me. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm lucky to have somebody in my life that just understands that and has no qualms about my weird little Disney heart. And, I'm really grateful to my friends and my family. They all treated me for my birthday and, gave me some gifts, financial gifts. I'll talk about that here in a little bit with the budget. So I'm just so grateful for them that they also are encouraging and supportive of what I'm passionate about. And they just wanted to bless me and spoil me and watch me have a good time. So just so grateful. And it was a beautiful day. So grateful for the weather. Oh my gosh. There were times where I was like literally almost in tears because the weather is just I just love Southern California. It was warm. It was beautiful. Everything about it. I'm from Colorado and it's cold here and everything's dead and it's ugly. And I was just so happy in the warm sunshine and my palm trees. And so I was so grateful for that. And it was just a seamless day. Like I felt comfortable in my own skin. I had no problems having fun and being silly and dancing down Main Street by myself and taking pictures and being okay with standing in a line by myself reading a book. Like people probably thought I was so weird, but I don't care. It was fantastic. So I'm just, gave my little prayer of gratitude and reflected on everything that got me to that trip and everything that I got to experience. And then I started to head out. So I went down Main Street. I had one last stop to make, and that was at Candy Palace. I had to get my bestie a treat, and I had to bring some treats home to my family. So I snagged everybody some treats. I got my husband some churro toffee, which he gobbled up and absolutely loved. And I got my son, they have a strawberry shortcake Mickey marshmallow bar. So I've never tried that. I didn't end up trying it, but he said it was really good. And then I got my best friend. She is a huge, huge fan of the peanut butter, like the peanut butter bars. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're called, like the peanut butter chocolate bars. But now they had a raspberry peanut butter chocolate bar. And she said, I must have that. So I got to give the girl what she must have. So I got her one of those. And then off I went, exited the park. Many looks back as I went, looks back at the castle, looked back at Main Street, exited the gates and said goodbye to Disneyland, told her she's a pretty girl and she's beautiful and wonderful. And then I took the long walk. It wasn't that long, but I was moving very slow. So it definitely took a lot longer than it took me in the morning. But back to my hotel. My friend had gifted me with some stuff to pamper myself. So I did a little foot mask, did a little face mask, spritzed the sheets with some lavender and just really unwound and got cozy and comfy and then hit the hay. Now, the next morning was Sunday, and it was time for me to head home. But I ended up sleeping in because I didn't need to be out of my hotel until 11, and I didn't need to be at the airport until about 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish. So I slept in, and then about 10:30, I decided I'd head on out to Downtown Disney, and I was going to spend the morning at Downtown Disney. So I did that. I walked down there and I just kind of walked through World of Disney. I wasn't going to buy anything. I already told y'all my little backpack was crammed. I didn't have any more space. But I was just curious what was out there. And so I stopped into there. I went and peeked around at the D-Lander store and just kind of cruised through Downtown Disney. And then I went and had lunch at Jazz Kitchen. Oh, that place is so good. Their jambalaya, get out of here. So I ended up having, they had a seasonal dish. It's instead of rice, it was these spinach noodles, which it was really good. I did ask to have rice instead, but they still brought me the noodles. I think he got distracted because I told him I couldn't have shrimp. I'm allergic to shrimp, shellfish. And I think he got like so focused on that and making sure that that wasn't in the dish or like anywhere near it that he forgot that I said rice. So he brought that out. It was so divine. And then I also ordered to go an order of their Bananas Foster's beignets. Oh, these guys, oh my gosh, I can't even, I dream about these sometimes. They're so good. But I wanted to take them to go because I was already getting so full. And then one of the, I think it's like the busser, he comes out and gives me a single beignet, just like a regular one. And he's like, this is on the house. I'm like, oh, wow, well, that's really nice. Like, no reason why it's on the house, just it's on the house. I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, okay, thanks. So I'm eating that. And then my waiter comes back. He's like, oh, good. You got the beignet. It's on the house. Oh, wow. I thought maybe he was going to say, I'm sorry. I realized I didn't get your order correct. But he didn't. And it was fine. I wasn't going to send the food back. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was still really, really delicious. But I thought, okay, well, all right, I guess. Thank you. I don't know why I'm getting this free beignet, but thanks. Well, then I got my ticket and it was not on the house. They charged me for it. But I just I wasn't going to be like, hey, come back here. You charged me for this thing you told me was free. Now give it to me for free. I don't know. That would just be a little weird for me. So I just paid it was only $3, but I, paid my $3, ate my beignet and off I went. So it was okay. I was really happy to have that meal, though. It was very, very filling and just hearty, and their jambalaya is just it's so good. So I took my beignets, and I had my backpack at that point because I was already planning to just Uber from the Disneyland Hotel back to the airport. So I went over to the Disneyland Hotel, and I found a spot by Trader Sam's. There's like this little seating area with some really comfy couches and a fireplace. And I thought, I'm going to hunker down here. And I was going to record this episode there. Well, in all fairness, I originally was going to record this episode at the end of the day while at Disneyland, and I totally forgot. I got back to my hotel, laid in bed, and it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I never recorded the episode. So I apologize for that because I think I told you guys I was going to do that. So I'm really sorry, but I was just having too much fun. Listen, I was just living in the moment. So I was going to record there from the Disneyland Hotel. They had the music from Trader Sam's playing. It was so relaxing. You could hear kids laughing in the pool. It was lovely, and I recorded about 20 minutes and realized my microphones were dead. The end. So that didn't happen, but that's okay. I just rested there, was on the socials, did some reading, listened to my podcast and my book, and I just kind of chilled out for about 2 hours. And it was just divine. I was so relaxing. I was kind of reminding myself, don't fully fall asleep with your mouth hanging open, drooling on yourself. And then my Uber came and he picked me up and took me back to the airport. And I sadly flew back home. And here I am back in Colorado talking to you today. No, but really, overall, it was a wonderful trip. Reflecting back, I would totally do another solo trip. Without a doubt. I certainly enjoy going with my friends and my family. That is a whole nother fun experience. It's kind of like that idea of you have these amazing trips and experiences when you have your kids, but then you can also have amazing experience, but they're just super different when you go on an adults only trip or a girls trip. And now same. All types are wonderful and fabulous, and this was a great experience. I would totally do it again. It's just different, right? So I'm so grateful, and I hope you enjoyed the play-by-play. Maybe you learned something along the way or heard something that you might want to try next time. But overall, it was a great day. I really only have, I guess, two things that I wish I would have done different. And one was the Plaza Inn dinner, and the other one was should have started the fireworks the whole time, just back at Small World. Other than that, it was fantastic. It was a perfect trip. So now let's get into the budget. So I told you guys, my husband gave me a challenge that I could take this trip if I took it for under $1,000. And I said, bet. So here's how some things broke down. I had $1,000 of our own money to spend. A couple weeks after I booked the trip, I negotiated with my husband. I said, hey, if I were able to sell some things from around the house, because I have plenty of things I need to purge, could I take that money and also use it in addition to my $1,000? And he said, yes, as long as it's cash. I was already using my Disney Visa card, get those points. He said, don't put anything more than $1,000 on the credit card. Okay, so I ended up selling a few things around the house, and I then had $115 cash from selling stuff. Now, for my birthday, my friends and my dad and stepmom gifted me some things. So I got, between my parents and a friend, $155 of cash. Then some other friends gave me some Disney gift cards, and that totaled $225 in gift cards. So if you're tracking with me, I had $1,000 of my own money, $115 cash that I had sold around the house, $155 of cash from gifts, and $225 in gift cards. So that gave me a grand total of $1,495 that I could spend. Again, only $1,000 from my own pocket, really. So let's break it down. What were my expenses? Like I told you, I got a deal from Booking.com for my flight and my hotel, so that helped bring the cost down a bit. But I broke it down. The flight itself for round trip was $303.51. The hotel, staying at Hotel Lulu for 2 nights, was $324.05. And my park ticket was $184 for a 1-day park ticket. Now, if you're still tracking with me, all of that came out of my $1,000 budget. So technically, after my flight, hotel, and park ticket, I had $188.44 to spend. And at that point, I was thinking, okay, I have Uber costs and I have food costs. If I spent no money, no shopping, nothing like that. So my total Uber cost was $101.87. The cost on Friday night was a little bit more expensive because it was almost 10 o'clock at night. That cost was with tip about $55. Then on Sunday, being 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was about $45. Then I also at Disneyland rented a locker that was $7. Now, my total food cost for the entire weekend, from the moment I left to the moment I got back, was $142.47. Here's the breakdown of that. I didn't end up eating anything or drinking anything Friday night. I had my snacks and I didn't go out to eat. I had already eaten dinner before I left. So starting Saturday morning, I got that latte at Jolly Holiday, and that was $6.29. Then I got the chimichanga for breakfast. Now, the chimichanga itself was $7.99, but I got the green salsa with it, so it was a little bit more. So it was about $10 total for the chimichanga and the salsa. Like I told you, before I went and saw the Royal Theater, I got a little soda from Refreshment Corner, and that was $4.99. And at some point in the day, I got a water and that was $4.79. The Plaza Inn chicken dinner was a total cost after tax for $23. I got those 2 cold brews from Docking Bay 7, which cost me $15.58. The bow at the end of the night from Tropical Hideaway was $6.49, and the pineapple juice was $4.79. Now, here's where it got me. Jazz Kitchen, the total for my meal, I got a soda and I got the 4-pack Banana Foster's beignet. That total with tip was $66.54. Oof, I know. All in all, that is really the only thing that I ate and drank that entire day on Sunday. So that was a total of, just for food, $142.47. So if you break it down, those are all of the essentials. I did some shopping. I told you guys that, and I'm going to go into that cost in just a minute. But I feel like the shopping wasn't anything necessary. Like I did not have to buy souvenirs for myself or get other people's stuff. But I did because I was gifted some birthday money and those gift cards. So I felt like, okay, I can go beyond my $1,000 and do some shopping because I've been gifted this money. So if I had not been gifted that money and I only stuck with what it cost me for flight, hotel, park ticket, and food, it was a grand total of $1,062.90. So close. So really, in the end, I got super close to my $1,000 for just the essentials. Again, just the essentials, flight, hotel, the park ticket, and food. $1,062.90. Now, here's some things that I'm reflecting on that I wish I would have done different in order to hit that $1,000. I definitely wish that I would not have had the Plaza Inn chicken dinner. That was $23. I totally could have been satiated and just fine with getting a Ronto wrap, which I think those are about $13. So that would have saved me a little bit of money. Obviously not the whole 62, but pretty close. Also, instead of going to Jazz Kitchen, I could have chosen to go somewhere a lot cheaper that day. I could have picked a different place there at Downtown Disney, or there's lots of restaurants there outside of the park that I could have gone to. There's an IHOP right by my hotel I could have gone to that would have been much cheaper than $66. There's, McDonald's close by. Or I could have stopped by one of the corn dog carts there at Downtown Disney. So I definitely could have gone cheaper on my meal instead of going on Sunday, instead of going to Jazz Kitchen. But again, I had the birthday money. I kind of felt like I could splurge a little bit. So I could have made some cuts there. But again, I was gifted and I was blessed enough to have the birthday money and the money from selling things around the house. So all in all, to say that if you are somebody that's looking to do a solo trip and you're trying to make it as cheap as possible, I really do think that you could make it pretty darn close to $1,000. You could have chosen a hotel that's maybe a little bit cheaper depending on what your preferences are, and depending on what your food situation is too, right? You could bring in some of your own food, or you could choose to eat, some cheaper things. So in the end, I really do feel like a $1,000 solo trip is totally doable, and I think my husband should let me do it way more often, maybe like once a month or every other month. Okay? What do you think? Tell me in the comments and let's vote and let's gang up against him and let's petition it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's go back to shopping. I told you I did some shopping. So I spent a total, so now I told you I had gotten some gift money. I had gotten a total of $380 in gifts between cash gifts and gift cards. So let's talk about shopping because I told you I did some shopping. I was able to use those funds in order to do some shopping. Again, you don't have to buy souvenirs. You don't have to buy these things. These are just, since I had the money, I went ahead and did it. Originally, when I was planning my $1,000 budget trip, I didn't have these things. I didn't expect my friends and family to do this for me. So I had already told myself I wasn't going to probably do much shopping, if any. But because they did, I was able to do it. So I spent a total of $348.53 in shopping. Now, of that, I did get some gifts and I got some treats for my family. So $267.27 of shopping was only on myself. I got myself that Spirit jersey I told you about. And that, oh my gosh, it's so cute. It's the light pink one, and it's got the Disneyland written on the back, all in the pearls, and oof, I had to have it. But I did get a little bit of a discount on it because I decided to go ahead and put that on my Disney card, and I would just use my gift cash to pay for that. Pay that card off. So because the discount, I got that for $87.27. Then I got those cutie little Mickey sunglasses. Those were $24.99. I told you I stopped by Pandora. I actually ended up getting 2 charms. The charm I told you about, and then a little spacer charm. And that was about $155. And then I spent $53.31 on gifts for some of my family. I'm not going to tell you where I bought them or what I bought because they might be listening and they're gifts and they need to be surprised. But just know I spent $53.31 on gifts, and for treats for my family and my bestie, I spent $27.96. So, all in all, my entire trip, flight, hotel, park ticket, food, and all the shopping I did was a total of $1,411.43. The total amount that I spent on myself, taking out the gifts and the treats, was $1,330.17. So if you're tracking with me, at the beginning of our budget talk, I told you I had $188.44 left of my $1,000 to spend, plus I had $115 of cash and $380 total of gift money. So I think I came out pretty good. In the end, I actually came home with cash in my wallet that I had not spent for this trip. Give myself a round of applause. Yay! So thank you so much for walking through this with me. I hope that you had as much fun recounting my days and going over the budget breakdown as much as I had enjoying the weekend. I hope you also found some value in that and just encouraging yourself or encouraging other people that are talking about it and saying, Disney is expensive. Yes, it definitely is, but it's so worth it and the value that you get out of it. And there are ways to make it more doable and less expensive if you're just willing to get creative and think outside the box. So hopefully you can share this with them and encourage them to see that it is doable. But my friends, that's my full solo birthday trip report and the final verdict on that $1,000 challenge. So if you've ever thought about doing a solo trip, let this be your sign that it can be equal parts magical, grounding, and honestly, kind of empowering. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to leave a quick review or share the episode with a Disney friend who would totally appreciate the play-by-play and budget breakdown. And if you want to keep up with the day-to-day Disney fun between episodes, come hang out with me on the socials. I'll link them in the show notes. Thanks for spending part of my birthday with me. I appreciate you all each and every day. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you do a solo trip? And if you've done one, what's your biggest tip or your biggest never again moment? Send me a message or a comment wherever you listen to the show because I'd love to share listener responses in our next episode. So until next time, keep the magic alive, keep the memories close, and as always, I'm wishing you a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye.